Hello students, now today we'll start a new exercise, that is exercise 13.2. Each sum of exercise 13.2 will represents inverse proportion, but except question number 1 where you have to verify whether each question is inverse proportion or not. Now before we discuss the question, we need to understand what is inverse proportion. Now in inverse proportion, if the two quantities are given, fine. So in two quantities, if one quantity you decrease, then other quantity will increase and the vice versa. So this is what the inverse proportion is all about. What we have done in exercise 13.1 was direct proportion. That is, if any of the one quantity was decreased, then other quantity will also decrease, and if other quantities was increased, then the same thing will happen with the second quantity also. That means both are directly proportional. Whatever is happening with the first quantity, the same reflection will be on the second quantity. But in inverse proportion, it is just a reverse one. If you are decreasing the first quantity, then the second quantity will increase and the vice versa. Fine. So this is a logic that you have to keep it in mind before you decide, before you make a judgment on any of the question in question number 1. Okay. Now let's read out sum number 1 of question number 1. So the two topics that's been discussed in sum number 1 is, see, the number of workers on a job and the time. So the two topics are number of workers and time. So if you just take an example, fine, suppose there is one particular work need to be complete by number of workers. So let the number of workers be 10 and the time taken is 5 days. Okay. Now if you increase the number of workers from 10 to 20, do you really think that the time taken will increase or decrease? Definitely it will decrease. Why? Because more workers, less number of time. Fine. And if you decrease the number of workers, then obviously to make that same particular wall, the time quantity will increase. Okay. So time will, when you are increasing the time, the number of workers will be less, and when you decrease the number of workers, the time will be more. Okay, so that is one, you are one quantity you are decreasing and another quantity will decrease. So what you have to write, let me give you a sentence. You have to, I'm just showing the first one, why it is a inversely proportion, as the number of workers increase, the job, or any work, you can say, job will take less time to complete. Okay, this is why the first question is inversely proportional, and since it is inversely proportional, so you will write it yes. Now let's say sum number 2, time taken for a journey and the distance traveled in a uniform speed. So in question number 2, for more time, more distance to be traveled, isn't it? So hence it is not inversely proportional. You see that if you increase if you increase one quantity, the other quantity is also increasing. That is, the first quantity is what? Time. So if you increase time, the distance covered will be more, and if you decrease time, then the second quantity, that is distance, will also decrease. So this time and distance are directly proportional to each other, not inversely proportional. So second one would be no. Okay. Now sum number 3, area of cultivated land and crop harvested. Okay, so question number 3, we are discussing about the area to be cultivated and the crop harvested. So do you really think that it is inversely proportional? No, it is not, because more area of land cultivated, more crop to be harvested. Okay, so more land, more crop, more crop, more land, more crop. That is, both are increasing at the same time. And if there is less land, then there would be less crop to harvest. So again, they are directly proportional to each other. So hence they are not inversely proportional. So the answer would be no. Let's discuss question number 4. The time taken for a fixed journey and the speed of the vehicle. That is, the journey is kept as constant. Now, do you really think that question number 4 is inversely proportional to each other? I believe it is. How? If speed is increased, suppose, because the distance is constant. Fine. Just suppose distance is 10 kilometer. So to cover this distance of 10 kilometers, suppose if speed is increased, then obviously we'll take less time to cover, isn't it? And if the speed is decreased, then obviously more time will be required to cover the same distance. So you see that the first quantity, if you are taken as speed, if you decrease speed, the time quantity will increase, and if you decrease the speed, then the value of time will increase. Okay, so they are inversely proportional to each other. So the answer is yes. Now the last one is the population of a country and the area of land per person. So just make a guess whether it is inversely proportional or not. Yes, they are inversely proportional. How? Suppose if the population of a country increase, fine, then the area of the land per person will decrease, isn't it? So the more the population, the less the area for per person, and the lesser the population of a country, okay, then a one particular person will get more area for him, isn't it? So if you decrease the population, the area of land per person will decrease, and if you increase the population of a country, then obviously the land per person will decrease. So they are inversely proportional. So one is increasing, another one is decreasing. So hence they are inversely proportional. So we will write yes. So I hope you have understood question number 1. So let's move on to sum number 2. Now this is question number 2. In question number 2, in a television game, the prize money of rupees 1 lakh is to be divided equally among the winners. Fine. To complete the following table and find whether the prize money given to an individual winner is directly or inversely proportional to the number of winners. So we have to understand this. So the prize money is what? 1 lakh rupees. So in the first case, what is happening? Suppose if the number of winners is 1, obviously the prize for each winner would be 1 lakh only. Now, if this 1 lakh need to be distributed among 2 students, see the prize value is decreasing. That is, each will get 50,000. So when the number of winners is increasing, the prize for each winner is decreasing. Fine. So this is what? Directly proportional or inversely proportional? Inversely proportional, as because one quantity is increasing and another quantity is decreasing compared to the initial one, isn't it? Now, so we have understood that this represents inversely proportional. So we will write this as inverse proportion. This is the first thing we have to do, what we did with the first exercise, isn't it? Now, when you're writing inverse proportion, now suppose if you have to get the value of A, so you can compare 1 by 1 lakh and 4A also, and you can compare 250,000 4 and A also. It's your choice. So we'll compare this. I will compare these 4 values. Now when it is inverse proportion, now this time some pattern will change. Okay, earlier what we are supposed to do, 1 upon 1 lakh is equals to 4 upon A, isn't it, for direct proportion? But for inverse proportion, what you have to do is we have to multiply this 1 into 1000, 1 into 1 lakh, sorry, 1 2 3 4 5, and it will be equals to 4 into A. Okay, now because we have to get the value of A, we have to transpose this 4 towards left hand side. So 1 into 1 lakh is 1 lakh only, divided by 4. Now this will give you answer as, just guess, yes, 25,000. So A value would be 25,000. Now you see, more number of winners, each will receive how much? It is decreasing or increasing? It is decreasing. So this itself shows that it is inverse proportion. Now let's get the value of B. Now to get the value of B, again we have to compare 1 lakh, 5 and B. Do not compare this part. Okay, that is 2 by 250,000 4 and A. Will not look to all these values. Now again we will write 1 into 1 lakh and 5 into B. Okay, so 1 into 1 lakh is what? 1 lakh only. and 5b. 5 would be transposed to left hand side, so it will look like divided by 5, and the equation will represent b equals to 1 lakh by 5. Now if you divide it, you will get the answer as 20,000. So each winner will get 20,000. Fine. So I hope you can find out C, D and E in a very similar way. So these are the homeworks. Okay. So today's homework, I won't give it today. No worksheet would be given. So this is the only homework today. That is question number 2. These three values, that is C, D and E, you will do it as a homework. Okay. So in my next session, I will explain question number 3 and 4. Okay. Thank you and God bless you all.